Jackson Podcast.
You're a black person and on top of that, you're a elite.
You're defending murderers! And you're happy about it! You're laughing at us! You're laughing at us for being out here that's sick! That is wrong! It's not you, so it's okay, right? Nowhere! Until it stops! Every day! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Your
Rappers have been praising Trump for over a decade and ignoring real heroes. Americans have been, excited about those who make money without thinking about the exploitation that may be involved with that money for ages. It's just a reflection of our values. We get the leaders we deserve, It's just a reflection of our values. I mean, I'm dead serious. We've been pumping up motherfuckers who have warped values in terms of capitalism, exploitation, not caring for the poor. I mean, you hear it reflected in so much shit, like why are we so fascinated with the rich anyway? Like, isn't that the only reason why we're watching like Kardashian shit is like richness and fat asses? I think that's the idea, right? I think that teaching and propagating fear is dangerous. It's easy to control groups of people if you have already instilled fear in them. If you want to be safe, do it this way. You can get away with a lot of shit when people are afraid.
What's popping with y'all on this beautiful Monday, man? My platform is for the independent, the free thinkers, the people who second guess information to make sure that it is correct in their soul. On this episode, we'll be decoding the chaos. This previous week, so much had happened. We had Ben Shapiro talking about pardon, Derek Chauvin, Elon Musk got involved. Dr. Umar Johnson's daughter came out talking about he's a deadbeat father. We're going to have a conversation about that. The trending news of the ruckus that was called at the Lakers game when LeBron James approached Stephen A. Smith. It's an interesting week that we're going to be discussing. And, I break my episodes up into pieces throughout the week so y'all can get the clips or whatever. But this is the long form content. And before we always start these long form discussions, we always got to create the vibe. We got to bring some music to the table just to get our energy up, pour our wine glasses to have a conversation. If you're riding and you're getting your money, or you're traveling and you're going to see family members, headed to a family reunion, or just headed to a business deal meeting or whatever, this is the conversation where you need to be at, man, so you can I just try to provoke thought. That's all I'm here for, is to provoke thought, to speak my point of view and give, clarification to the topics at hand. But before we get into it, let's get straight to the vibes, though. This Shaka Khan, man.
Let you know that I'll make it somehow, some way. Though I'm waiting on the day, what I'm doing is
gotta pay some way, somehow. And the baby when he cries, he's got something on his mind. This world's full of lies, you and me, one of a kind. The good love is stand behind every step. We are blind to faith. That's love.
I ain't gonna let her hit that note. That note too heavy. That note way too heavy. Let me pause that, man, because Shaka Khan could go. If y'all don't know where y'all heard that song from, you know, 8Ball and MJG sampled it on Coming Out Hard. It has been used on a lot of hip-hop tracks. It's been sampled multitudes of times. But, you know, I played that record because I just wanted to set the vibe. But before we get into the topics at hand, I want to, you know what I'm saying, talk a little bit about my week, how my week was, what I did during my week, and something that I took notice because it's daylight saving time. We all lost an hour. Time moved forward. Is that the world is moving fast, dog. Things are happening at the speed of light. Like life is moving. A year feel like a month feel like a week feel like a day. You know, appreciate your loved ones, appreciate everything that you do, appreciate every moment that you have breathing on this earth, because it's not guaranteed, dog. It's just not guaranteed. And what I did this week is I wrote down a few things that I was grateful for. I ain't gonna tell them to y'all on the channel or whatever, but I just wrote down a few things that I was grateful for, and what it did for me throughout the week was it showed me that, like, the small things is what we appreciate the most. You know, people want stuff all the time. We want a new house, a new car, a new job, a new opportunity, retire. We want all sorts of things. But those small things, when you start to make yourself aware of the smallest things, you'll be more appreciative, and your day will go better, and you'll have a smile on your face. Real talk. Let's get into the second record, though. This is my girl right here, too, boy. I love this song, Real Spill.
For the 01, I know you can't come better than that. So you can kill all your loose rap. Baby girl,
how many times I tell you don't come to me? Don't come in all of that jealousy, 'cause you got envy. Don't hate me, babe. It's mad behind my back, and when you see me, you try to come up and talk to me. I'm not saying nothing. I know you could come better than that. Yeah. Lose rap, keep that. I know you could come better than that. Yeah. Lose rap, oh say that. Too many times you guys will come step to me. I guess you call yourself booking me. Now do I look
rest in peace to Aaliyah. Rest in peace to Static Major also. Static Major, he played a big pivotal part in that record, and he also contributed to one of Lil Wayne's biggest records, Lollipop. Rest in peace to Static Major and rest in peace to Aaliyah, man. Two dope artists. But let's get back into the conversation. I'm just trying to lay out the show for y'all to tell y'all the topics of discussion we're going to have this week. You know, Candace Owens was making her runs as of recently. She was on Stephen A's platform. She was on the White Guy podcast I listened to ever so often. I forgot his name, though, but she was on there talking, and I've been wondering where Candace Owens had been at because, you know, when I checked out her platform, I was like, man, she too folk. She in white business too much. She concerned about what the white folks and the people in London and UK got going on too much. She ain't talking about trending topics. It's like she's becoming an investigator journalist. Like she's doing investigations, and I really wasn't interested in that. I want to hear her perspective on things that's trending at the moment. I want to hear her perspective on what's going on with the Trump administration and the trending topics. But she did talk about Stephen A. Smith and the LeBron debacle this week, though, and I was interested in that also. Another thing we're going to be talking about is that, you know, Slim Thug, he be going live with the little chronicles in his car and stuff, and he was talking about how black men are the prize and how black women put us through obstacles and all of that. And I'm going to play that clip, and we're going to talk about that because I feel as if Slim Thug is wrong in some of the aspects that he's speaking about, and I feel as if he has rapper privilege, finance privilege to be speaking like that, because we'll get into it. Now, another thing that we're going to be talking about also on this episode is victimhood. You know, and the black race, you know, I don't want to speak bad about us because I love us and I want to see more of us in independent ways thriving. But when I hear a lot of people conversation, when they use the we language, the we need to do this, when we ain't even contributing to each other's growth and evolution and stuff, it seems like they speak from a victim standpoint instead of speak from a championship standpoint, a winning mind frame, you know what I mean? Not a losing mind frame. So I just want to let y'all know that y'all champions, y'all ain't victims. Y'all don't have to cry. Y'all don't have to complain. Y'all don't have to feel bad. Y'all don't have to, you know, need anything from anybody else. You got everything that you need within you. So let's get on into the last record, then we're going to start the podcast up. I appreciate y'all, man. This Kanye West Champions. Let's go.
Lifestyle on camera, $100,000 chandelier. They tried to turn me to an animal, but white people think I'm radical. Supermodels think I'm handsome. You might think I'm too aggressive, but really I think I'm too passive. Till I pull out the chopper, start blasting. All the singles straight up, throw it up. Watch it fall and drop. Round and go. Strut, round and go. Pray for me. I'm about to hit the yay button. I don't wanna say nothing wrong, but it'd be wrong if I ain't say nothing. Imagine if I ain't say something, when none of niggas say nothing. I done lost and made money, now I'm making something they can't take from me. And I'm fresh out of debt in this motherfucker, and they still ain't ready yet for a motherfucker. Yeezy might have to go and put his Louis on. I'm about to go Gucci in a Gucci store. Fresh out the feds in this motherfucker, and they still ain't ready yet for a motherfucker. Gucci mane, and I'm about to put my Yeezys on. Now that Gucci home is over for you Gucci clones. 1500, all the singles straight up, throw it up. Watch it fall and drop. Round and go. Strut, round and go. Champions, we run the city. Number one, they falling from the top. Round and go. Round and go. Straight up. Look, I said a prayer for my enemies. They could not slow down, was meant for me. Funny how they come around like I can't see through their secret identities. Lately it's all about enemy, subtracting the negative energy. Fuck with the family, turn your ass to a memory. My niggas keep it a century. I blow the check up, nigga, detonation. Kill 'em one by one, final destination. Top my destination, I got guardian angels all around the nigga that's deflecting Satan. I'm a motherfucking champion, this right here the fucking anthem. I can't dap you without handstand, I don't know your dirty ass hands been. I wake up to like 100 texts. Championship team, but we can't cut the net. She all off in my jersey, looking underdressed. I'm finna buy this bitch a Honda CRX with 1500.
The boy said he about to buy a Honda CRX with 1500. Goodness gracious. Them boys was spitting on that song, man, but I just played that because I wanted people to stop, you know what I'm saying, confusing themselves with victims when you really a champion. Now, this topic of discussion, I covered this in 2020 when the podcast first was created. You know, it was a crazy year. 2020 was like a year I'll never forget. It was a pivotal year. Things changed and transformed from 2020 moving forward. It seemed like the world may never recover from that period of time totally. It's back to normal and everything. Things seem normal, but it's just it was a weird time, COVID. And I think that we're going to have some sort of pandemic again. But this person, I really don't know much about him, but he's the owner of the Daily Wire. He hired Candace Owens, fired Candace Owens off of his platform, Ben Shapiro. He's a Jewish man. And when this came across like my radar, I was thinking about like COVID era, George Floyd, people protesting globally, and the level of division that was going on in the country at the moment. And even white people was tired of seeing it. Y'all see on the intro I played, it was majority white people at those Black Lives Matter rallies, standing up for black life. But what's crazy to me is how the media, how the people in power plays off of, you know what I'm saying, what people are disgruntled about. They play off of people's feelings and emotions, and they create this world basically off of your feelings and emotions. They profit off of it and everything, and they use it to get views and likes and streams and all of that type of stuff. He could be trolling with what he's saying in this clip, but I just want to see it. And I'm kind of upset that I don't see more brothers talking about this, because this is a statement that needs to be highlighted. Let's get into what Ben Shapiro had to say.
If we are issuing pardons, however, there is one person that President Trump should pardon from federal charges forthwith. It would be incredibly controversial, but I think that it's absolutely necessary. That person is Derek Chauvin. President Trump should, in fact, pardon Derek Chauvin. He should. He should pardon him his federal charges. If we are talking about reversing the evils of the last several years in American life, obviously COVID and its handling was a massive evil. Destroyed the economy, set us on a path to fiscal insanity, destroyed children, led to massive health-related cover-ups, just horrifying all the way around. And President Trump has taken on a lot of those things. But when it came to BLM, the inciting event for the BLM riots that caused $2 billion in property damage in the United States and set America's race relations on their worst footing in my lifetime, was in fact the railroading of Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. The evidence demonstrates that Derek Chauvin did not, in fact, commit murder of George Floyd. George Floyd was high on fentanyl. He had a significant pre-existing heart condition. George Floyd was saying he could not breathe before he was even out of the car. He was in the car saying he could not breathe. Derek Chauvin, for large segments of even the tape that was shown, had his knee on George Floyd's shoulder or back, not on his neck. The autopsy of George Floyd showed that he had no damage to his trachea, that probably George Floyd died of excited delirium. There were no accusations, even at trial, that Derek Chauvin had committed a hate crime against George Floyd or that he targeted George Floyd because of his race.
I be disgruntled a lot about certain things that people be saying on platforms and stuff like that. And he's a rich man. He's a man that's in a powerful media position, giving out perspectives. I think that he wants to be the next Rush Limbaugh. That's who he kind of reminds me of, Rush Limbaugh. And for him to ask Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin's charges, it seems like he would be smarter than that, or he's just trying to cause confusion and ruckus and see people act out of character, and he's trolling and he's trying to make a statement to get people back in their feelings. Because everybody who's smart enough knows that a president can't pardon state charges because Derek Chauvin doesn't have federal charges. So if you's a man of stature and success like how you say you is, and you's an intelligent man, why are you coming up on these platforms trying to cause this ruckus, speaking about something that you know can't happen? Now, during that clip, he also talked about Black Lives Matter. I love the statement because Black lives do matter. But that statement, to me, they like to see us in a vulnerable state. Showing that amount of people are vulnerable is profitable to the other people. Black Lives Matter, it was a situation where they wasn't even speaking for the men. It wasn't nothing specific for men. Those ladies was LGBTQ. It was more of a LGBTQ thing. They took the money and they didn't give back to the black people. So Black Lives Matter was trash at the end of the day. Then he said he didn't commit the crime. So he had the man, George Floyd was on drugs. Simple and plain, he was a junkie. But it's not illegal to be a junkie. It's not illegal to be a junkie. It's up to y'all to be, if you want to be the aggressor, you want to police everybody all the time, then you need to know how to handle the junkie. You need to know how to handle these people that's committing these crimes. So when he said that he didn't commit the crime and he had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes, no matter what he was on, that was, I spoke to police officers about this also. That was unnecessary aggression. He could have handcuffed that man and just thrown him in the car and let him act a fool. He can't do nothing because he handcuffed. He didn't have to, make him resist and try to calm him down. The man was already passed away, done peed on himself and everything, and you still using aggressive tactics. And this man want to say, because, he's saying these things because he wants to cause confusion. He wants to see people angry. He like people being in an uproar. Now, this is a Jewish man, first of all. The question I want to ask him before I play part 2 of his clip of what he had to say is, if a black police officer had his knee on a Jewish man's neck that was a junkie for 9 minutes, will he have the same sentiment? Will he feel the same way? Will he say the same things? Would he say that the black man needs to be pardoned? Answer the question, because I don't think that you would, dog. I think that you dislike black people. I think you want to see black people angry and not in a comfortable state. You want to see us mad at the world and react to your statements, but we ain't even going to give you too much of the time of the day. We're going to keep it moving after we talk about this, but you're showing your true colors. You're showing who you really are. And Elon Musk showing who he truly is too by retweeting this and saying that this was an interesting topic, something that needs to be looked at.
Nonetheless, on the basis of extraordinarily scanty evidence, and despite the fact that there was massive pressure on the jury, that the mayor of Minneapolis paid a settlement to the George Floyd family immediately, that the president of the United States suggested that Derek Chauvin was guilty right off the bat, that the jurors were being openly threatened and admitted as much. Despite all of that, Derek Chauvin was convicted on federal charges and pled guilty to federal charges. Derek Chauvin should, in fact, be pardoned on that. We will be covering that a lot more in coming weeks, because I think it is worthwhile to remember that there is a man who is rotting in prison because the media decided in the middle of 2020 that they were going to turn a tragic law enforcement stop that ended with the death of a man who had a significant problem with drugs and pre-existing health problems into the raison d'etre of the entire 2020 election. And it led to vast chaos. It led to, again, the destruction of racial comedy in the United States, $2 billion in property damage, and a guy rotting in prison who the evidence demonstrates certainly was not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
I wanted to start the podcast off talking about Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James, but I see the lack of interest in this topic. A lot of black men and a lot of independent platforms don't want to touch bases on this conversation. You know, I just want y'all to be aware of y'all surroundings. Protect yourself, be safe, act accordingly, move with intention, and just know who you're dealing with. These people are supremacists. Not even if they're not white supremacists. It's a Jewish supremacy. People feel as if they're better than the black race, and they don't like to see black people. And not trying to make it a race thing, but that's what is. Race is just relevant in the United States of America. Race and class, those are the two things that people want to be separated by. I don't want to affiliate myself with those people, and I don't want to be around these people that don't got nothing, that ain't in the same tax bracket as me. It's just interesting because I was going to play the clip of the body cam footage of George Floyd on my channel, but I didn't want to get no copyright strikes from that. I didn't want it to be where I couldn't even show the video. I know I ain't going to be able to monetize it by playing the music. I really ain't tripping about that. But at the end of the day, I'm going to close it out with this. Ben Shapiro, you're a sucker. You're a real sucker for saying the things that you said. And at the end of the day, I think you're hurting because Trump, he won black men over in this election. You're a Republican. Elon Musk, you're a Republican vouching for this statement. You're going to lose black votes before you even 2 months in totality, because don't nobody want to hear that. Only thing we was asking for was you to get the economy back together, get the finances back together, and get the military back together so we can protect ourselves. That's all we was asking for. And we thought you was Trump was what's best for that. Sometimes you need to get your people to shut up because he's saying things that's going to make Republicans lose in the next 4 years, and y'all ain't even 2 months in. Ben Shapiro, you a sucker. Real talk. Let's move along in the conversation. You know, this hip-hop artist I'm about to talk about, Kool Moe Dee, he's a legend. Wild Wild West. He got a lot of hit records. He's one of the pioneers from New York City, I think he's from Manhattan or Harlem somewhere, one of those places. But I know he's from the city of New York. Kool Moe Dee. And we're going to talk about drug dealers in this segment and the dealing of pharmaceutical, medicine, street sales, hustlers, and all of that. And I want to play this clip because I want to get into Trump saying that drug dealers should receive the death penalty. But Kool Moe Dee has something very interesting to say that I think people need to listen to, and I want to know y'all perspective on this topic in the comment section.
And of a generational thought process, because I said that for me, the first sellout in the hood is the drug dealer, and people don't look at it that way. And because
expound on that.
The first sellout is a drug dealer because I'm just trying to feed my family is not an answer for you to be able to kill my family. You can't kill my family because you're trying to feed your family. So you're the first sellout, and we co-sign that and be cool. It's like he's just trying to eat. He's not just trying to eat. He's killing your family while he's trying to eat. You're creating a climate that makes black on black the worst thing on the planet. You're killing black people trying to make a living. And the oppressor is absolutely loving that. And I said they love a drug dealer. Your colonizer loves a drug dealer because you're killing your people to feed yourself.
You know, I heard something interesting he said in that. He said black on black is the worst thing on the planet. My boy Star at the Star Report, he released a show midweek last week where he was talking about is black on black crime a myth or is it a reality? And that was a very compelling question because it had me stumped for a minute. Black on black crime, because in my mind I was thinking black doesn't exist. I was thinking, why would he say it's a myth when we know it's a reality? But why is he saying this, and where is he going? Then a caller started calling in. He started giving his point of view. People started saying different things, and I think they came to the conclusion that it's a reality. But him saying that drug dealers is the first sellout in the community. I really want to know y'all thoughts on this in the comment section, because to me, I say no. I don't know what it was like up in New York City serving to each other or whatever though, but from the South, being from the South, you ain't forcing it upon nobody. 90% of the time, you ain't selling to people in your community. You ain't selling to Aunt Fifi and Uncle John. You ain't selling to them because they ain't got no money. They want to wake up, or they want something to be able to bring you the money throughout the day. And it's a choice. Sometimes we don't hold people accountable for the things that they choose. That's when it comes to being a victim. In the streets, I'm going to say this loud and clear, and I hope y'all understand this, because this is the perspective I had to come to when I ended my run in the streets when I was a young boy. In the streets, you got to hold yourself accountable for all your actions. You can't say that the drug dealer is killing your family members because he's serving the drugs. It's their choice to use it. So they got to be held responsible for their actions because they're not being forced to buy. Now, when a drug dealer gets snitched on, robbed, caught, other bad things can happen throughout his run. He got to hold himself accountable because he didn't have to sell the drugs in the first place. Didn't nobody tell him to do it. He chose to do it. So now that you choose to do something, you got to hold yourself accountable for your actions. It's your fault. It's the junkie fault and it's the hustler fault. But at the end of the day, I really don't like that he's calling hustlers a name by a name, calling them sellouts, like a derogatory name. I don't think that they're sellouts. I think that they're doing what they need to do and all that they know to do to be able to get themselves where they want to go. I only want to say it on this thing though, but if it wasn't for the streets, and if it wasn't for the hustle in the streets, I may still be in the streets. Real talk. The streets got me out the streets. That's all I want to say to that. But I wanted to play that before this because when I heard Trump make this statement recently in the news, it made me kind of correlate those two things together.
If you notice that every country that has the death penalty has no drug problem, they execute drug dealers. And when you think about it, it's very humane because every drug dealer on average, they say, kills at least 500 people, not to mention the damage they do to so many others, but they kill large numbers of people. China, Singapore, actually, there are quite a few, many in Asia, where they have the death penalty. There's no drug problem whatsoever. They come to our country because we have a much softer policy. We give them a slap on the wrist and say, kill a lot of people. So we are going to, I don't know if our country is ready for it. I am ready for it, the death penalty if you deal drugs. You have to set out guidelines like fairly large numbers, etc. But you'll have it go down very greatly.
Trevor Jackson Podcast.
I was saying earlier in the show about how Trump now was winning in the eyes of the public. We only want you to get the finances together. Now you're talking about executing drug dealers. I think that he's speaking irrationally because drug dealers don't kill more people than CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid. Y'all got this stuff right there for people to get as long as they got a prescription or whatever. People getting Percocets and this and that and getting all types of medicines. What's going to happen to them? Are they going to get the death penalty? Or what was he speaking about specifically? Was he speaking about like people coming across the border getting the death penalty, not just the little street hustlers that's hustling to make $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 so they can pay the bills for the month and get something to eat? Because the death penalty is a little harsh for drug dealers. You're going to be killing a lot of people. And And I'm not with that. I'm not for that. I don't stand by that. And I think that the Trump administration and people that's participating in it has been saying some wild things lately, and they need to get their thing. They need to get their stuff back under control before they lose their favorability amongst the American people. Because, like, giving a death penalty to a drug dealer was crazy. Now, to me, even giving death penalty to a drug runner that's coming from another country is crazy, because the only thing that you should do is send them back to their country. Tighten up your borders, send them back to their country. Don't give them a life sentence, 100 years, or the penalty, or nothing like that. It's just that I ain't with that. I ain't for that, and that don't sound right. And I also ain't with what the disrespect that Kumo D had to say about drug dealers also calling them sellouts. And I'm not standing for the drug dealer, because a lot of people that hustle or whatever, they hustle out of necessity. Now, if you ain't hustling out of necessity, you don't need to be hustling, period. And that's the end of that. That's all I got to say about that. Moving along in the conversation, we're going to get right to it. I think it's important to start this conversation off with Stephen A's contract. I'm going to read the statement that he released thanking ESPN for extending his contract, because this is an important piece to all of the puzzle that has been going on to me. Y'all can tell me what y'all think in the comment section, but this is an important piece. So ESPN signed Stephen A. Smith to a multi-year contract extension. I'm happy and honored to remain a member of the Disney ESPN family for at least the next 5 years. There's only bigger and bigger things ahead. It starts with continuing to put in that work. See y'all soon. Stephen A. Smith, featured commentator, executive producer of First Take. So dang, he done took that show and became the executive producer of that show. One thing I want to do is give Stephen A. Smith some hand claps. You know, in the black community, people have been harsh of Stephen A. Smith as of recently. And, you know, for the last couple of years, because he do give some wild takes. He do give a lot of perspectives. He said some crazy things about Kyrie Irving. He said some crazy things about Kwame Brown. But to be honest with you, if any of us was on the camera talking as much as he talked, we would be saying some crazy things also. I talk once a week on my podcast platform and give takes and points of views of things that's going on in the country and in the world. And I say crazy things. This man is on camera 2-3 times a day. He on ESPN 2 times a day. Then he does his own independent show every day. He is due to say something crazy. Now you could think he's playing a part in the white power structure and to the white supremacist structure by being a part of ESPN and Disney and all of that though. But in life, people make choices, people make decisions, and I don't got nothing against you. I'm aware of what you're doing. I ain't got nothing against you if you're doing it and you're doing well with it. Man, salute, because at the end of the day, it's going to be people going to school for journalism, and they're going to be studying Stephen A. because they're trying to get to $100 million too, because he's exceptional at his job. Exceptional. You might not like him. You might not like what he stands for, but he's exceptional at what he does. Now we're going to get into the conversation. My fault, y'all. That clip went super viral. And what's crazy about the clip of him and LeBron interaction going viral is that the man was at the game late night. It was down near midnight Eastern time. He was back on TV at 7-8 in the morning. He working his ass off, boy. Real talk.
Now let's get to a subject that's apparently gone viral on social media today, and it also involves yours truly. Last night I was in attendance at the Knicks-Lakers game, sitting courtside, where during a timeout, I believe it was in the third quarter, I was confronted by none other than LeBron James himself. LeBron had some choice words for me in regards to comments I've made prior about him in regards to his son, Bronny James. Before I get any further, let me just put to bed a couple of things that have been reported that are false. People was talking about LeBron called me out my name, or somebody said he called me a bitch. Somebody said he called me a punk and all this. None of that is true. He was fiery. He approached me during the game and he said, "Stop effing with my son. That's my effing son. Stop effing with my son." I said, "What? Nah, man, straight up, man to man. Real talk. Stop effing with my son." And I saw how furious he was. And I said, "We can talk about it later." "Nah, F that. Stop effing with my son. That's my son. I said, "All right, dog. Fine." And he walked away. That's all he said. I knew what he was talking about. I've spoken about this before. Matter of fact, I heard that not many, not all, but a few players were upset at me about that. I think one player in particular was Draymond Green, who I haven't spoken to since and has no desire to speak to me primarily because of this, I suppose. And I found out the way that I found out, which was last night while I was at the game. I was a guest of Ari Emanuel, owner of William Morris Endeavor, founder of William Morris Endeavor, rather. Founder of Endeavor, I'm sorry, before they merged with William Morris. And I was a guest of his, sitting at the game with him and Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I was sitting courtside, and the next thing you know, out of the blue, LeBron came in my face. Obviously, since he brought up his son, he was piggybacking off of what I had said weeks ago. And what I had said weeks ago is that when Bronny James was struggling, and I threw out some stats and stuff like that, and I said he's not ready. And then I came on this podcast and I reiterated that point. Clearly, it was something that was on LeBron James' mind that he was aching to confront me about. And so it happened the way that it happened.
You know, that clip was off of his independent podcast, the Stephen A. Smith Show, that's on YouTube, because to me, he got more in depth on his own platform than he did on First Take. You know, he can't curse on First Take. He has to keep it clean and has to keep it professional on First Take. And I salute that. I see a lot of people who are talking about this subject play the clip from First Take. And he was speaking softly, like he was speaking like he was hurt. He was speaking low vibrational. And you know, what I want to present to y'all is a perspective. That's all I do. I speak to the perspective. And in this perspective, I want to ask y'all, who was wrong? Now, I'm not a father, but as a father, hearing the things that not just Stephen A. Smith is saying, but a lot of the journalists and a lot of the sports media are saying, I would take offense to what's being said about my son if I was a father. But I got to hold myself accountable for the nepotism, for the position that I put my son in, because my son isn't qualified and my son wasn't ready. To be honest with you, Bronny James scored 10 points. He averaged 10 points in high school. I don't know if you can make it on a great college basketball team averaging 10 points. That's just an average basketball player. You might not get a college degree unless you're very intelligent and the team just want to pick you up to be the cleanup man. You ain't going to start or be a starter averaging 10 points. Did he even start at USC? Then when he was at USC, not to bash Bronny James because he had some type of cardiac arrest or some cardiac situation to where he couldn't play, he only averaged 4 points. He averaged 4 points in college. But he made it to the NBA. Now, I'm for nepotism. If you can help out your children and you're in position to help out your children, do it. Do it. That's what America is. America is put yours in position. But if you can't handle the criticism, your son is a public figure now. He is in the spotlight. He's up for discussion. He's a trending conversation. He is something that people can profit off of by talking about him. You know, to me, Stephen A. Smith was wrong and right. LeBron James was wrong and he was right. I can see both sides clearly of why what was done was done. But I want to speak about something, though, that was unnecessary on Stephen A. Smith's part in that last clip I played. Why did he talk about being on the floor with Ari Emanuel? Why he talked about the Jewish guy like as if you embarrassed me in front of my Jewish plug, LeBron? Don't do that. Don't embarrass me in front of my Jewish friend. Now, when I think about that, I think of like we trying to be clean and impress the other side instead of impressing our own. It's kind of sick to hear him say that. You embarrass me in front of my Jewish friend. That's what I heard when I heard him say that. What did y'all hear him say? When y'all heard him say, I was with Arya, man. It don't matter who you with at the time. He didn't get up and defend you. Now, if it was me, I'm going to tell y'all what I would have done. Even though we just announced that Stephen A. got the $100 million contract, he don't need no money. If it was me and Brian approached me about the truth, because what Stephen A. Smith said was the truth. Can't nobody argue with that and say that Bronny, he may be a good kid. He's LeBron's son. LeBron bigged him up, spoke him up. His last season, he want to play with his son. He want this, he want that. He's better than half of the NBA. He said all of those things. But the truth is, no disrespect to Brian and Bronny, he trash, dog. That's the truth. So Stephen A. didn't say nothing wrong at all. But let's get to it.
And as a big player in the industry these days, he has my number. It's very easy for LeBron James to have called me. It's very easy for one of them to have called me and to say, LeBron wants to see you. He wants to talk to you face to face, man to man. That's not what happened. Last night at the Lakers game happened. Now I get, and people have said to me today that I'm looking pretty damn sad. I'll fess up, I am. Because something like that is not something that should make any of us comfortable. I didn't anticipate it. I don't know why I didn't anticipate it. But I'm not here to blame LeBron James. That wasn't a basketball player talking to me last night. That was a dad. He rolled up on me as a father. That's what he did. That was not a basketball player talking to me. We talk about LeBron James all the time. Practically everybody does. That's not what LeBron James does. So for him to confront me, obviously it was something that he was incredibly passionate about, put off about, and felt necessary to confront me about. And what better motivation could there be than to be protective of his son? I understand it. I respect it as a parent. I'm a father of 2 daughters. And in all honesty, I couldn't definitively tell you that if I were LeBron James, I would not have done the same thing.
One thing I have to give him hand claps about is taking accountability. I respect any man that takes accountability for his actions, for the things that happened to him, for the things that he said. He took accountability. But one thing that caught my attention is, though, he said he could have called me. You know, people have my number. Paul, whatever his name is, Paul, one of Bron's best friends, he got my number. But you spoke about my son in public. So if I'm thinking like LeBron, I'm going to confront you in public. I ain't get ready to call you. You didn't call me before you said what you said about my son. So I'm going to confront you in public. This is just a weird case of coincidence, because to me, nobody is right. I mean, both people are right and both people are wrong. So this is just interesting. But one thing I want to say and one thing I want to play and read to y'all is Bronny James' response on Twitter. He reposted something of Stephen A. Smith on the Jimmy Fallon show. And Bronny said, funny how the ones who couldn't hoop got the most to say. So they basically saying that Bronny James cooked Stephen A. Smith. Why is this so true? You know, to be honest with you, little buddy, you should have stayed clear of this, because you saying the ones who couldn't hoop got the most to say. In black culture and in the black community, Stephen A. is the most successful sports journalist of all time. He's seasoned. He has multiple years of conversation and education on the job that he's doing. You might not like what he say. You might not like where he work at. You might not like what he stand for. You might not like what he's co-signing, but he's the best ever. And you don't have to be a baller. That is weird a little bit, because that's going to take people that are educating themselves on journalism out the picture. What are y'all thoughts about that? Do y'all only want athletes speaking on sports, or do y'all want the people that are true journalists speaking on it? I see that in hip hop also. Hip hop is removing its educational journalists, the people that has researched, studied the topics at hand, studied the artists. They're removing it with the artists, the Noriegas, the Joe Buddens, the people that was actually artists. That's the same way with the Shaqs, the Charles Barkley. You removing the person that's educated and researched and know how to conduct a conversation professionally over the people that you want to be entertained by. This is just interesting to me. For real, that's really interesting to me. And I think Stephen A. is, you don't have to be able to hoop to be able to talk, to be able to be a journalist. Real talk. I'm off of that topic. Thank y'all for, checking me out and checking out my perspective with that. But we're going to get on to something that, my most viewed video is on Candace Owens. She's someone I watch frequently. I haven't been watching her as much as I used to, because she's been speaking on a lot of investigating journalism. She's investigating Bridget McCrone, and she was investigating Kamala Harris and investigating people that it's really not of my interest, because I understand the things that she's saying. She was speaking on that person being a man, then Bridget McCrone turning to a woman, marrying princes and kings, and it was just a lot. She was speaking on Kamala Harris, how she was cosplaying as African American and black, and she wasn't nowhere near a black person. And then after she started doing her investigative work, Kamala Harris never spoke on being black ever again. And I think black people need to stand on business. FBAs, Foundational Black Americans, need to stand on business when it comes to people cosplaying as us, not looking out for the best interests of us. And Kamala Harris definitely was one of them plants like that, just like Barack Obama. But, it's a young lady named Amala who has kind of took Candace Owens' place when it comes to the trending conversations. And I just wanted to play this old clip of them speaking on black culture and victimhood before we get into the conversation.
It seems that with affirmative action, we care about Black students, we care about Hispanic students. These are the minorities who are going to benefit from this. And Native Americans. But the through line is not necessarily socioeconomic status. It doesn't seem to be resources. It seems to be that these are the minority groups that we feel bad for. We don't feel bad for Asian Americans because they have a culture of high academic standing. They have a culture of drive and of facing adversity. We look at Black students and Hispanic students and Native American students.
We are inferior,
and we pity them.
That's what makes my blood boil. I mean, it's just, I am not less than you because you are white. I don't need you to look at me and feel bad for me because of the color of my skin. And that's effectively what you're doing every time you take an application. You say, oh, well, this girl's Black, so I kind of feel bad for her, so I'm going to put her at the top of a line. It's just not necessary. I believe, right, that Black Americans are capable of performing in the same capacity as their white peers. You two don't actually believe that, because if you support affirmative action, you are basically saying that Black Americans cannot do it on their own.
You know, I didn't understand affirmative action till recently. And I have to agree with those young Black ladies. We are not less than. And we got to stop feeling like we less than as people, because we're just as qualified, we're just as capable as anybody else. You know, we may have more hardships at home. More of us have more hardships that we're dealing with at home when we leave those learning institutions or the jobs and everything. But we have to learn how to put that to the side and have tunnel vision on what we want. We are not victims. You know, my boy Scoopy, he was telling me how our community, this was a long time ago, this probably was a year and a half ago, our community viewed themselves as victims instead of conquerors, instead of leaders, instead of people of substance, people of intelligence. I don't want to be felt bad for, so you create something for me to help me catch up. That means you already won, because you know that I view myself as less than, because I need a program put in place to help me get just to the starting line. Crazy. Now, I remember the person who she was on platform this week. You know, she was doing her runs this week. She was on Stephen A. platform. She was on Theo Von platform. She was on Nick Cannon platform, talking about her up-and-coming book. And, you know, it was a question posed to her on Stephen A. Smith's show about when she had the White Lives Matter T-shirts on with Kanye West.
And I guess for me, because I think about it, and I remember when you showed up, I believe it was in Paris, you were with Kanye West and you were wearing the White Lives Matter shirt and what have you. And I said, damn. And I was upset. I was actually upset at you. And here's why, Candace, because I looked at it and I said, no, don't give the ammunition. Don't give the ammunition. You can sit up there and you can talk to folks about your views, what you know, and educate folks without them being closed-minded because they saw something and visualized something and automatically deemed that you were against us as a people.
Right.
So, I mean, as you reflect on a moment like that and you talk about the Black community and politics, how do you feel? How do you gauge what's the right thing to do and what's not the right thing to do?
You know, for me, the discussion and polite discussion, it doesn't work. I have found that. You can go back and watch me on stage with T.I. and Killer Mike, and it doesn't work with the Black community. And I have a theory on this, and I think partially it's because we have this instance of father absence, but there's a lot of attitudes. There's a lot of attitudes. Mm-hmm. And if you try to come politely, you're just going to get disrespected. And so in terms of the White Lives Matter shirt, first off, Kanye, that's how he communicates. He communicates with art. That's like, this was Kanye's thing that I was stepping into, but I understood what he was saying there because he is someone that does not like, no one puts Kanye in the corner. No one tells Kanye what he has to be. And so when you start saying, oh, I'm going to superimpose you just being a Black victim onto someone like Kanye West, and you know, he hated when white people would come up to him and say Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, you want to patronize me? Oh, let me patronize you. Your life matters too, right? Like, okay. Oh yeah, like white lives matter too. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know that white lives matter. Your life matters. He never liked that, the patronization of it. And mm-hmm. So I felt the same way. And we communicate differently. I usually am using more bombastic words, but that moment to me, especially as someone who grew up in really Kanye's music kind of gave me the courage to be myself, to not have to be an archetype of what a Black woman should be. It was a moment for me that I reflect on very fondly. And yeah, it broke the internet, and it started a lot of conversations. But imagine if Black people were just like, yeah, every time I saw a white person,
right,
I'm with you, but your white life matters. It's just, there's something about it I just don't like.
You know, I didn't understand it at first. I was disgusted also with the White Lives Matter t-shirts. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what they was trying to convey. And listen, I never heard her even speak about it in an interview. That was salute to Stephen A. Smith. We still talking about Stephen A. Smith. He earned that $100 million, didn't he? Charles Barkley was talking crazy about him. LeBron approached him. Then he interviewed Candace Owens. He is all in the algorithm this week. But I didn't understand it at first neither, though. The White Lives Matter t-shirts. I didn't understand all lives matter, but I do understand it now, because when you say Black Lives Matter and you get people disgruntled, it's because they feel as if, oh, so you think your life don't matter? You think you don't. You think your life don't matter. Oh, we're going to promote that because y'all vibrating on a lower frequency. We're going to promote that. We're going to highlight that. And I didn't know it was that serious. I didn't know like there was placating to the minds of the people. Now, when you say white lives matter, they know they feel as if their lives matter. But we're going to tell you your life matter also. But they don't feel less than. The Black people feel less than. So when you say Black lives matter, we just want our life to matter. We just want to matter. Oh, all right, we're going to invest in that because y'all angry, y'all disgruntled, y'all feel like y'all don't matter. And a lot of people who feel like they matter, who feel as if they're valuable, who know, not feel, know that Black lives matter. That sounds disrespectful. We know our life matter. We know we of substance. We know we gods on this earth. We know we are the highest frequency. We know we the creators of all things. We've created everything. We know our life matter. We don't need you to tell us our life matter. I understand it now. But, you know, I didn't understand it then. Why they wearing the White Lives Matter t-shirts. It was so metaphorically speaking that it was like people was thinking that they don't like themselves. They are trying to say white lives matter. No, we want y'all they was basically saying we want y'all to feel the energy that we feel. Saying that your life matter. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right, but I know how I feel inside and I know what I understand about it now because we know Black lives matter. Y'all don't have to go out here and do all of this and that. Your life matter too. Because your life is just as fragile as mine. Real talk. Now, something that she said during that clip also that really stuck out to me, it was polite discussion. As a leader in the Black community, I don't know too many leaders that has been embraced, that people have championed, stood up for, that spoke politely, that spoke eloquently, that spoke softly. Most of our leaders and the people that is Dr. Claude Anderson's, the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, the Fred Hamptons, they spoke with aggression. They spoke loudly to the people. They spoke directly. You can be right and speak softly to the people, and they will not want to hear you. And what you're saying is right. Because that's just who you are as a person. You are a naturally cool individual, laid back. You know, you talk cool, you talk slow because you're from the South. Like me. And people won't want to hear what you got to say because you're not aggressive enough. Now, I want to ask the community, the La Familia, why is that? Help me understand, because I don't understand that. You can speak to me in a multitude of ways. If what you're saying is of value, then I'm going to internalize it. But it seems like our people, they don't like polite discussion. They like aggressive discussion. Let's further on with the clips and the conversation.
Disgusted would not be the right term for it. Frustrated, yes, and constantly trying to give people the facts so that they understand that Lyndon Baines Johnson was an avowed racist and he hated us, and yet we are doing everything that he wanted us to do. We are reacting emotionally and not rationally. We seem to be a stereotype of irrationality, actually. All we have to do is make them feel something and they won't react. And I want to be clear, it's not just Black Americans. The Me Too movement was another manifestation of that. That's why I'm doing this Harvey Weinstein series. But what really does upset me about the Black community is that the manner in which we defend criminals, you will not find this in any other community. Okay. So white person gets shot, killed, unarmed. They're not coming out. White people are not coming out and burning down their own neighborhoods, right? They're going to be like,
Did you see the Black community attack me for going off about OJ being celebrated? Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, they've conditioned us to actually defend the worst in our communities. They just will let it go. You think Chinese people are going to run outside if they're like, well, listen, this guy was high on fentanyl. He got into a brush up with police officers and he died. Chinese people will be like, especially Asian moms are just dead serious. They'd be like, you idiot, good for you. So you're an embarrassment. Never come home. This is how Asian women are. They have a standard. You think Jewish people are coming outside and going to, rally around a Jew? No. They all know that they think of that as like a natural process. We don't want to associate with that. And we have the exact opposite mindset. And when I say the exact opposite, I mean also the reverse of that being that the most educated and the most accomplished people in our community, in terms of their intellect, we reject. How can we ever get ahead, right? Condoleezza Rice. No, she's a traitor. She's Uncle Tom. Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice. He's a traitor. He's an Uncle Tom. Dr. Ben Carson, a literal brain surgeon. Black people will call him stupid. It's crazy. So there's no way Black America can get ahead with that backwards mindset where you put George Floyd on a T-shirt and you denigrate and disrespect someone like Clarence Thomas. I'm just not with it, No.
You know what's interesting? I don't know the statistics of the amount of people that is celebrating, and I don't think that she or Stephen A. does either. But the amount of people that are celebrating drug dealers, thieves, rappers, hoodlums, negative behavior, foolishness, debauchery. It's just that I don't know the amount of people in our culture that is actually celebrating that. But when I look around, I think about how people are reacting to rap music and the negative stuff, the drill music, how people were celebrating Big Meech coming home. It was a criminal. Who cares? At the end of the day, why do we even care? Why do we even care about, like, people with a lot of finances, people that we perceive to be successful? Why do we even care? At the end of the day. And we reject the educated. Like what Candace Owens was saying. We don't pay attention to the people that is educated. We view them as outcasts. We set them to the side. We don't really value the intellectual, the person that is smart, the person that disagrees with what you have to say and the things that you've done. I on my platform, I encourage disagreement so we can learn together. I want you to disagree with me. I'm not going to shut you off or, block your comments or not allow you to be a part of the discussion. I want you to not embrace what I got to say. I want to learn from what you have to think about this topic at hand, your point of view of this topic. It's just that it's crazy. Listening to Stephen A, though, he interjected midway through that conversation and said, you see how the Black community came at me because of what I said about OJ. That's the part of Stephen A that people don't like. OJ wasn't convicted of that crime. So why are you holding him accountable for something that he was acquitted of? White people don't. He was acquitted of it. He beat it. You don't like it, that's your problem. He beat it. He's not guilty. He wasn't a murderer. He was one of the greats in athletic sports and stuff. It was going to be people that side with him and celebrated with him. He wasn't convicted of that. He didn't do it. If he wasn't convicted, he didn't do it. So what Stephen A. talking about? You should have been criticized for the things that you said. That's the part that people don't like about you, because you spoke bad about O.J. Simpson, something that he wasn't convicted of, dog. He pushing the agenda forward, but that's him. You know, salute. Real talk. Salute to Candace Owens also. That's interesting. Frustrated with the black community. Defending the worst in our community. That is interesting. You know, we're going to get straight to this conversation with Dr. Umar. But before I get into the interaction with his daughter, him addressing the daughter and everything, I want to play something that he had to say about the black church.
Just in general, as far as the black church and the role that is currently played in where we are economically, relationally, with our families, do you feel like it should have, or it has played the role that it should have played?
Not since the assassination of Dr. King. After Dr. King was assassinated and buried a few days later here in Atlanta, Georgia, the black church, out of fear, retreated from the front lines of the struggle, and it reinvented itself away from being an organization of agitation to an organization of accommodation. Now the black church accommodates the agenda the white power structure has for us. Before we fought. Now, let's go have a cup of tea with the president. Let's go have a cup of tea with the government and see if we can get a couple crumbs from what he's about to do, although what he's about to do is going to destroy our community. You see that? There's no more fight in the black church. The black church is more parasitic and exploitative of the black community than the Chinese stop and go, than the Latino bodega. The difference between the Latino bodega and the Chinese stop and go and the Walmart and every place else we shop is at least you get something for your money. What do you get back from the black church when you invest? We give the black church $3 million every Sunday collectively in this country. Show me a black church with a supermarket for the people. Show me a black church with a bank for the people. Show me a black church with a manufacturing and distribution network to hire our men and women. Show me a black church with a black school that children who are not Christian or Muslim or Hebrew can go to.
But is that the responsibility of the church, though?
It was historically. Why did it change?
You know, that's why it's hard for me to counsel people and promote counseling individuals, because people's actions are one thing, but what they're saying is another. I want to know how many people agree with that statement and how many people disagree with that statement. You know, I grew up in Tennessee. I didn't start going to church till I was 24 years old. I went to a church. It's titled Eternal Life Harvest Center in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Pastor Davis, I grew up in the same community, in the same neighborhood as Pastor Davis. I know all of his kids. I love them all. And he was a man of God. He was a real man of God. He gave to the community. He created things that was needed in the community. He was growing his congregation slowly. He was feeding the community, doing what he possibly could, the best he possibly could for the community. And he passed away in his early 60s. And what I want to say about this is that if we all believe in the same thing, if the black church, because he didn't speak upon religion, but if it's Baptist, if it's Christian, if it's Seventh-day Adventist, if it's just the black church in totality, if we believe in the same things that these other churches, these multicultural churches or these white churches believe in, Why are we separated? Why aren't they helping each other? Why aren't they building their communities up also, and they're not contributing to building up the black church also? I don't really want to bash the black church in totality, but it's things that is bad that the black church has done. And I see a lot of pastors preying on the women. I see a lot of women also being servants to the pastor and to the people that they believe is in power that can lead them to God, when in our reality, it's up to you to lead yourself to God, to read the book in its entirety for yourself so you can get a perspective of what's being said in that Bible for yourself. It ain't up to the pastor to lead you to heaven. So with that being said, I feel like the black church has, it really did let us down. And what Dr. Umar said, it started in the 60s, but me coming up in the community that I came up in, man, in a 5-mile radius, it's 30 churches. But we don't see none of the churches buying back the community, buying back no blocks, creating no banks, creating no pharmaceutical industries to where we can have our own pharmacy. I apologize, y'all. But we don't see no black churches unifying. We don't see no churches combining. Why don't you combine your congregation with my congregation when we build together? It ain't about no bread. It ain't about me getting no bread for my church. It's about us blowing this thing up, blowing the word of God up and making it bigger than it really is. Than it really is. I'm sorry for those words, y'all, but bigger and reaching more people and doing more for our people. I understand what he said right there, though, but the things that Dr. Umar say and the things that Dr. Umar do, the school still isn't open. We learned these things that his daughter has been saying about him. I want to know, what are y'all feelings about Dr. Umar now after things like this has been said about him?
Hey TikTok, so I just wanted to come on here with a small short announcement. I just want to start this video off by saying I'm not trying to get clout. I literally just want to have a conversation with my father. My biological father is Dr. Umar. He has another daughter. I tried to contact him about, getting to know my sister on my dad's side. I asked him if he knows her or if he has her number. He ignored me and never responded. I'm 22 years old now. My dad has never been to anything important, no graduation, no birthday parties, nothing. He has not been in my life. Again, I'm not making this video to bash him. I'm making this video to state facts, okay? You can't get on Instagram and get on social media and portray to be an activist and talk about how black kings need to be with black women, but you're not even in your black woman's daughter's life. It doesn't make sense. You're being a hypocrite. And it's frustrating because I reached out to you. I reached out to you. I shouldn't have had to do that. I'm your daughter. But I'm smart enough and logical enough to know that you would never reach out to me because you don't have my phone number. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't try to reach out to me because for what? I don't want anything out of you. I want nothing but a conversation. Forget the relationship. I really don't care too much about that at this point. I just wanted a conversation out of you and you shut me down. You ignored me. You should never be too busy for your daughter ever in life. So I just wanted to make this video to just try to, I guess, somehow find my sister on my dad's side. So if you see this, please reach out to me. Please DM me because I want to know who you are. Why do I have siblings out there that I don't know about? It's unfair. And deadbeat fathers is very common nowadays, especially in the black community, right? We all know Dr. Umar reps the black community or whatever, but you can't rep that if you're not even in your daughter's life. You moving backwards. You're moving backwards.
Not laughing at the young lady because it's funny, but I grew up with a father that I didn't know I had brothers and sisters until he was dead and gone. And I was at the funeral realizing, wow, I got a sister here. I got a brother here. I got a sister there. And he has a multitude of amount of women in his life also. It's just that not being in a child's life, no matter what you're doing or what you're contributing to the child's life, is sad. And I'm speaking from a perspective of a man without children at 45 years old. Not knowing your siblings and not having a relationship with your father and your father not being there, showing up, giving you words of encouragement as a male was hard. So I can only imagine as a female what she's missing out on, what she deserves, what she could have learned by having Dr. Umar in her presence. But the thing about Dr. Umar is that he's supposed to be opening up a school. And the school is a decade in the making and it's still not open. After seeing this, would you send your child to Dr. Umar's school is the question.
It's not making sense. To the public, you look like this person, but in private, you a whole nother person. And I'm not bashing you. I just don't understand why you're ignoring me. I'm 22 years old and you have yet to be in my life. No graduations, no parties. When I get married, are you going to be at the wedding? Are you going to walk me down the aisle? Y'all, I have a stepdad who has been in my life since a little girl. He has been in my life. And I thank God for him because my biological father couldn't even do that, y'all. My biological father is not even on my birth certificate because when my mom had me, he left. And I do have a DNA test. So yes, I can prove that that's my father. I would never get on here and lie to y'all. That's kind of sick and delusional and crazy. But I'm just making this video because I want to find my sister. And when I reached out to him about giving me her number or if he even had it, I was ignored. So now I guess I have to take matters into my own hands. So if you see this video, sister, please reach out to me because if he's not going to allow us to be in contact, I'll do it myself.
What's crazy is that she met her sister now. She had to take it into her own hands to be able to meet her sister. I want to see how this transpires and how this evolves because it's a sad thing for a brother to be talking about opening up a school, helping out children, being a man of integrity. And then what he is educated in is like psychology, like child psychology. I'm not understanding how he got to this point when he's supposed to be a psychologist and you're not in your child's life. But one thing that a lot of people aren't addressing during this conversation is, where's the mother? What does she has to say? Because, you know, women can be bitter. Women can be harmful. Women can make things worse. And I'm not bashing women. I love women. But at the end of the day, I've been accused of things that I didn't contribute in. I've been accused of having children with people that I didn't have sex with. I had a woman try to put child support on me and I never touched her before. It's just that women can be, you know, interesting when it comes to things like this.
I will have my white man paperwork. I will have my white man paperwork. When can we do the sit down? When can we do the sit down? Been paying child support since you damn near came out the womb. Deadbeat who? When can we have a sit down? Child support started. You wasn't even out your mama yet. And she took me to child support. Deadbeat who? Deadbeat who? Child custody file this thick. What are we talking about? Where is Mama Smurf? Where is Mama Smurf? Can we please have a sit down? And you can fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool the Prince of Pan-Africanism any of the time. Calling me names, using profanity, disrespectful mouth. I just want to say this to all my supporters out there, my true supporters. It ain't that many of my true supporters. But for my true supporters, I want y'all to stay focused. There's a lot of slander going on. There's a lot of lies being pushed out there. There's people trying to use my name to build themselves up. I just want you to be really, really careful right now. Be patient, stay focused. Be patient, stay focused. Be patient, stay focused, brothers and sisters. Y'all know me too well. Y'all know my love for children is too strong. Y'all know me too well for anybody to be coming out the woodworks telling you they've been trying to reach me when my number has been public for 20 years. Listen, brothers and sisters, I want y'all to listen. My phone number has been the same for 20 years. So anybody telling you they've been trying to reach me and my phone number hasn't changed in 20 years, mind you, I speak at graduations in Philadelphia all the time. I'm on the street in Philadelphia all the time. I have events in Philadelphia all the time. I got family in Philadelphia everywhere. And you've been trying to find me? Stop the cap now.
I need some help, y'all. I really do need some help with this, because when he spoke about child support before birth, I never heard of that before. Can you do that? Why would you do that? Help me understand. Can you do that? And why would you do that? Do you believe that he's going to be a deadbeat before the child is there? Is he saying things that let you know that he's not going to support the child before the child is there? Are you broke? Both of y'all broke, and you don't understand how this is going to be done? Or you don't understand what's going to be done, or you don't feel protected, so you want to go to the government for them to be the father? Help me understand this, because, you know, I don't want to bash Dr. Umar, and I don't want to counsel him or talk about him not being in his child's life, because it could have been a reason. That's what a lot of people don't understand. It could have been a reason, even though it shouldn't be a reason why you're not there. You should be there regardless. But could the woman have did things and created things to keep him from the child? And let's see how this transpires before we make a decision, my opinion. Now, one thing that really, like, you know, before we get to this last topic with Doechii, the artist that's on TDE, I want to say, why do, like, Dr. Umar always repeat what he be saying? He always say things in threes. Is he trying to program us to make us believe in what he's saying, or make it more valuable? Is he programming us? Is he like trying to hypnotize people by saying things in threes? It's something behind that. Real talk. It's something behind that. But before we get into this last topic of discussion, you know, I'm on my music shit. I want to take it back, create the vibe, get into this last topic of discussion with the Grammy award-winning Doechii that's on TDE that won the album of the year. And I'm definitely going to clip this up. I'm going to clip this up, this conversation, because it's super viral right now. Doechii. Let's get to it, man. Let's get to it.
Yeah. What? Come on. Niggas that be. Shout out to Top Pretty Who's nice. Fan. Come on. Yeah. Check it out one time for the ass. I'ma take you to all of that. Check it out, kid. Here's a tune about the sonny named Renee that I met one day on my way back from Sanjay. I peep a shorty as she's walking to the train. I tap her on the shoulders. Excuse me, miss, but can I get your name? She said, my name is Renee. I said, I got a whole lot to say. So may I walk you to your subway? She said, if you want. So yo, we started talking. I brought 2 francs and 2 drinks and we began walking. I had to see where that head was at, cause the year was mad fast. So we must chat about this and that. She told me what she was in school for. She wants to be a lawyer. In other words, shorty studies law. I'm telling shorty I'm a writer. And as she's looking for the token, she drops a package of the Easy Rider. Covers her mouth with the name ring. I say, yo, don't sweat the technique, shorty rock. I do the same thing.
but yet I use Philly blunts. She said I never dealt with Philly blunts because I heard that's for silly stunts. I said nah, they burn slower. Right now I really don't know you, but maybe later on I can get to show you. A ghetto love is the law that we live by. Day by day I wonder why my shorty had to die. I reminisce over my ghetto princess every day. Give it up for my shorty. A ghetto love is the law that we live by. Day by day I wonder why my shorty had to die. I reminisce over my ghetto princess every day. Give it up for my shorty.
Yeah, last topic of discussion before I get up off of this thing is The Biggest Red Flag by Dolce. So she was on the platform Hot Wings. You know, that's one of my favorite platforms. I love people seeing hot wings and in distress when they're eating wings and stuff. And she was on this platform and she had this to say, man. This is one of them ones.
Okay, what's my biggest dating red flag?
Is it being on the DL?
You're on the right track. I have my answer.
Is it close enough?
You want to guess one more time what would be a red flag for me?
Bad music taste?
Oh, that is a good one.
Because that's one for me.
That is a good one.
Like,
but that's
what
not
do you
what
mean
I put.
You don't listen to Michael Jackson? But okay.
Okay. This is a huge red flag for me.
All right. You know what's so crazy? I was going to say men.
I mean, strike one. You're a man.
Yeah.
And you're heterosexual.
Yeah. I was going to say, so technically, because my mind was already there, I don't think I deserve to eat a wing.
I think you do, friend. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, always go with your gut instinct.
You know, Hollywood has embraced her. She won Album of the Year, clearly robbing Future, who dropped 3 #1 albums last year with a mixtape, Dolce. She promotes the LGBTQ community. She's saying that her biggest red flag is being a straight man, something that God created, something that was original. So you ain't rocking with a man if he's straight. You know, that statement that you made helped you to lose a few supporters, lose straight men because we was vouching for you, we was standing with you, and you said that's a big red flag for you. You know, you're a beautiful young lady. You're confused, and I wish you well. But at the end of the day, I like your creativity. I highlighted your creativity. I spoke highly about your music, and I like your art. But at the end of the day, that foolishness that you spewing about straight men, you lost us, man. Real talk, you lost us. Thank y'all for tuning into my show. I appreciate y'all. You know, shit real, man. Decoding the chaos. I hope y'all was thoroughly entertained and you may have learned something. Peace, love, plenty of abundance. Make sure you go get you some money, and I'm gone. Chill.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.